Hello there, everybody. It's me again. And today's date is January 13th, 2018, or 1/13/2018 is the date that I am filming this portion of this video. Now, in this video, it picks up right where I left off in the last video. And we're not going to stop. It's long. You can already see it's long. Hey, look, you don't want to watch it, fine. Don't watch it. I don't care. It's not going to change the outcome. This is over and done with, folks. Okay? But in this video, we go through, it picks up from right where we left off, and we go all the way through until they are bringing me to jail. And all of the events that happened in that time frame. Okay? So, just so you know, this is the only document that I need. This is the original false arrest and booking report that's still hiding at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. This is all I need. And just so I'm clear, any and every law enforcement officer, any and every attorney, any and every judge that sees this document and then refuses to do anything about the falsity, because they know as soon as they look at it, all you got to do is look at it and see that there's no disposition. And then look at the date that it took place, 1997. Okay? That's all they got to do. And they know that there's no such thing as an attempted lewd and lascivious. All they got to do, that's it. It takes them less than 30 seconds to realize that it's a false arrest and booking report. Okay? And as soon as they choose to do nothing about it, they've just committed multiple felonies. As soon as they choose to overlook it, they've just committed multiple felonies. They've just stopped being law enforcement officers. They just stopped being attorneys. They just stopped being judges. So says the law. So says the law. And that is the problem. The problem is that these people, all of these correction officers and JSO officers that signed all of this, that checked this off to begin with, they're the problem. And the people that wrote it were the problem. You have already heard that these people had harassed me for over 2 hours and 15 minutes on the phone. You've already heard I've reported their actions, their harassment, to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And what's the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office answer? Just don't answer your phone. Just don't answer your phone. Just ignore it. It'll go away. Let's just keep kicking this can down the road. And what is the final outcome of all of these people overlooking? What is the final outcome? What was the final outcome of all of these people ignoring this, overlooking this? Well, one, I've had 20 years of my life stolen from me. 3 Thornton women believe it's their fault. That little girl, that little Thornton girl, she was terrorized by Terrence Martin. Mentally tortured. That's mental torture. That's a felony. I'll show you the statute. But the 3 Thornton women were mentally tortured, have been mentally tortured ever since they came across that criminal, Terrence Martin. And the only reason why Terrence Martin did it was, well, because Terrence Martin's a control freak. He had all these judges in his back pocket. Nobody's going to mess with him. Terrence Martin felt he could do whatever in the world he wanted to do. Simply because, hey, if I go down, you go down, judges. Well, guess what, Terrence? Guess what, Charlie? Guess what, Taggart? Guess what, all of you all? Guess what? Guess what, Strickland, Boehmer, Ratley, Etheridge, Washington, Quintero, y'all all going down. Nathaniel Glover, you're the sheriff. You were the sheriff then. And everybody said, well, they can do that. No. They know about it now. Again, this is all the proof I need right here. This is it. Ask yourself, why haven't they done anything? Why haven't they done anything? What would you do? What would you do if somebody had, what would you do if your house is broken into and you call up the police and the police say, you know what, we don't believe you, we think you're lying? What would you do if a police officer came over to your house, broke into your house, accosted you, and then you reported it, and then the other police in the police department says, you're lying? They can do that. We're just going to overlook it. We're going to ignore it. Yeah, well, it's a little bit different because they've stolen 20 years of my life, and I'm coming back for it now. The 3 Thornton women are still mentally, they are riddled with guilt, all because this wasn't dealt with back in 1997. And let's not forget, poor little Cherish Periwinkle, who was kidnapped, raped, and murdered by one Donald Smith, all because, well, this wasn't dealt with. All because they tried to cover this up. How about that? How about that? No, folks, this is all I need. This is all the evidence because it's called fruit of the poison tree. And you cannot do anything legally that's based on a criminal act. So says the law. This is it. That's all I need. Now, you know about it. What are you going to do about it? You know about it, Christian. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? You already know it's been going on for over 20 years. How many Thornton women, how many more Thornton women or women like the Thorntons have to suffer because of bullies like this, criminals like this? These are not representatives of Almighty God. They're not law enforcement officers. They're fakes, they're frauds, they're counterfeits. They're control freaks. We're coming for you, you criminals. How many more cherished periwinkles have to be kidnapped, raped, and murdered because of this? Oh, and what that means too, folks, is all of these people that did this stopped being law enforcement officers, stopped being attorneys, stopped being judges. And they were, and they knew it. Taggart, there's his name right there, Taggart. Taggart, he knew it. That means everything that they did, everything that they did as an attorney, as a judge, as a law enforcement officer, is null and void because they are knowingly, willingly, and deliberately impersonating a law enforcement officer, an attorney, and a judge, simply to avoid going to prison. You can't have, no, that means everything that they've done is null and void. It's illegal. And at the very least has to be looked back into and made sure that the law was properly administered. But you see, these people are the worst kind. They're criminals with badges, as I said in the first video. Criminals with law degrees. Criminals who deliberately and intentionally use their positions and use the law to violate the law and violate the oath of their positions. What would you do if any of this had happened to you? What would you do? Well, thank God Almighty that it didn't happen to you. That's why I'm doing this, to make sure that no more Thornton women, no more Periwinkle women, that no more families are destroyed like the Periwinkles were. All in an attempt to cover up these people's crime. This is all I need, folks, right here. This is it. I'm coming for you, criminals. The law will be applied. Because I am operating by the direction of Almighty God. Again, you control freaks, y'all can run your little mouth all you want and say, man, prove it. Right here. Right here. This proves that everything that they've done, that they have done to try to cover up this is against the law. Thereby, that multiple millions of felonies, folks, I'm telling you. This is so over and done with, it's not funny. Now, you criminals, again, my first concern is for your eternal soul. Do not kill yourself. Do not take the coward's way out. Do not take the Judas way out. Because if you kill yourself, you will bust hell wide open. There is no asking for forgiveness from the law, because the law does not give forgiveness. The law is enforced. Okay? The law is upheld. You will pay the price. We got some problems here in Duval County in Jacksonville, Florida. And Almighty God has chosen this day and this hour to resolve them. The question, don't ask me what I'm going to do. I'm doing it. I've been doing it since May 2nd, 2013, when I found out about this. I have been laughed at. I've been mocked. I've been berated. I have been belittled. Even by some of my own family members. But guess what? I don't care. I'm still standing right here. Because I'm going to make sure, yep, I'm still doing it for them. I'm going to make sure that that none of these criminals are able to do it to another human being ever again. We, the people, are coming for you. We, me, the truth, accountability, the law, justice, righteousness, holiness. The truth is coming for you criminals. And once again, you are not prepared or equipped to handle what is about to be visited upon you. You just need to repent. Repent and beg Almighty God for mercy. Because there is no escaping this. And again, you criminals, you knew that this day would come. Well, guess what? This day, that day that you feared, is now here. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, so shall he also reap. Well, it's reaping time. Just saying.
Let's pick back up where we were. So, the defendant wanted to talk to Officer Etheridge. This is exactly what happened. Officer Ratley called me back and told me that she had talked with her 14-year-old little sister, and her 14-year-old little sister really needed to make some money and was willing to come see me. And then asked point blank, would you like to talk to her? Of Great. Here she is. Didn't even give me a chance to respond. And just stuck what I believe is a 14-year-old girl on the phone. And who is this? Why, again, it's Officer Etheridge. And that's why, again, it says the defendant wanted to talk to Officer Etheridge. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But what they are doing is they are painting me as being someone who is seeking out a minor. And now, since I am, you'll see it. You'll see it. Okay? So, I didn't want to talk to anybody. What I wanted was for these people to stop calling me. So, wanted to talk to, so Officer Etheridge, again, this is their handwriting, folks. Officer Etheridge starting talking with the defendant. Again, I have to defend why they found, why this woman, why this JSO vice officer. Remember, folks, this is the Jacksonville Vice doing this, acting in this manner, offering up fictional children simply so they can come over and arrest someone. Officer, I had to explain why this person, Officer Ratley, stuck someone who I have no knowledge of knowing how old someone is. Again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Can you tell how old someone is on the phone? Can you tell someone's age just by hearing their voice? No, you can't. And over the ensuing conversation, the defendant, I'm sorry, and over the ensuing conversation, the defendant, comma, knowing that he was talking with a 14-year-old, again, how in the world can you tell how old someone is simply by speaking to them on the phone? You can't. But supposedly, I can tell how old someone is. And the reason why I know is because after being told so. Well, yeah, I truly believed that the person that I'm about to speak to is a 14-year-old child. Remember, again, folks, this is written after the fact. They are just trying to, they are, again, that's who, this is depicting me. It's works is what it is. What kind of person wants to talk to a 14-year-old girl? What person calls up an escort service looking for younger girls? Because remember, Officer Etheridge has already told you, I'm sorry, Officer Radley has already told you all that the defendant wanted a younger little girl. Already told you that. But now you have the benefit of knowing now what really happened. And again, my version of events is recorded, which again is why this arrest and booking report, the original arrest and booking report, is still sitting at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office because it is a lie. It is a documentation of all of their crimes. So this is what happened. Sabrina tells me, "Hey, I talked to my little sister. She's right here. She's willing to come over to see you. Would you want to talk to her? Good. Hold on. Here she is." And just sticks what I believe is a 14-year-old. Uh, she sticks someone who I believe is Sabrina's 14-year-old little sister on the phone. And Officer Etheridge goes into role playing mode, because that's all that it is. Role playing mode. She gets she uses a higher voice and portrays herself as a 14-year-old little girl. Right there. It says so right there. Officer Etheridge. You're reading it. Posing as a minor. So she's just playing the role. And this is what Officer Etheridge says. They never even gave a name. I didn't ask for a name. I don't even want to talk to these people. So Officer Etheridge comes on and acts just like a teenager would act. And now, if you're going to say, well, how in the world do you know how teenagers act? Well, I've only been around high school age students who are range in age from 14 to 18 for the past 2+ years. Because I'm a high school basketball coach. You kind of have to be around high school age or teenage kids if you're going to coach high school basketball now, don't you? Right. So she said, "Oh, I'm so glad you called because I really need to make some money." I don't know. She had something to come up. I think she said something about a dance or something. I don't know. I really need to make some money. And this is what I'll do. This is right off the bat. Right off the bat. This is what she says. Not hello, what's your name? Not where you live. Nothing. Right off the bat. Oh, I'm so glad that you called because I really need to make some money. So guess what? If you give me $100, I will come over to your house and I will give you a blowjob and you can fuck me. Now, you tell me, how would you respond to that instance? And get off your high horse and say, I would, what are you doing even talking to somebody like this? Because you see, that's where they get you. Again, it is classification. It's a shame thing. Oh my God, you're calling up an escort service. It's not against the law to call up an escort service. And I wasn't, oh, you're just trying to have sex. No, it says so right here. I didn't ask for a girl. I asked for information. Their own words. But they've been trying to come over to my house for over 2 hours. And I've done. They've called me so many times. I've called up the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to try to get them to stop calling me. And the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells me just don't answer my phone. I've insulted these people. Sabrina, my good little friend Sabrina, who's so desperate for money she will do anything for money. Yet I still don't have them come over now, do I? Uh uh. And again, we're just about through this narrative. And what element of the offense has this documented? Nothing. Not one. Not one. Because again, kind of hard to attempt a lewd lascivious act upon a minor, or should I say, under a child, on a child under the age of 16 without having an actual child underneath the age of 16, and it's really hard to solicit a minor to commit prostitution without an actual minor. But even better, how in the world do you do all of that on the phone? How in the world do you solicit anybody to do? How in the world do you solicit someone to commit prostitution while you're on the phone? What can you pay? Can you pass money through the phone? Right. But you see, you all forget all of that because they have constantly, steadily used transfer to, again, what is, hold on, let me get it back up. They have constantly been evoking an emotional response. How? Simple. First emotional response is on the front of the thing. Oh my God, this guy's he's an attempt at a lewd lascivious upon a minor. Didn't happen. And he solicited a minor to prostitute themselves. Didn't happen. Because where's the minor? And the only reason why you believe that and don't even believe these two lies is because it is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office that's saying this. Remember, which stimulates those an emotion. Those are it invokes an emotional response, which stimulates the target, you, to identify with recognized authorities or these criminals who are calling people up and terrorizing people. They're justifying it. And again, it just goes back to the simple, basic trait that want to you want to have somebody that you believe you are better than. And only criminals call up escort services. And that's the reason why the good guys are investigating the escort service. So they slowly, steadily built it up. Oh my God. We called him, we offered him a grown woman, but he wanted a younger little girl. So Officer Ratley told him she would call him back. Call him back later. You're going to set this guy up. Only perverts want younger girls. I didn't want anything. The only thing I asked for, and even according to their own documentation, is information. Period. And remember, my version of events is being recorded. So now, since I haven't, this is now the fourth conversation I'm having with the Jacksonville Vice. And I still haven't given them my address. And again, how would you respond knowing that they already told you, look, Sabrina tells me that she's got a 14-year-old little sister, and now she's pimping out her 14-year-old little sister. And the 14-year-old little sister, it's not a 14-year-old little sister, it's Officer Etheridge, who's posing as a minor, just solicited me while doing a wonderful little acting job, because she sounded like, hello, man, you plant that thought. This person you're about to talk to is 14. This person you're about to talk to is 14. This person you are about to talk to is 14. Hi. I know it's a terrible voice because I'm a man. I'm not a 14-year-old little girl. And this person gets on the phone with a sweet little voice, using a sweet tiny little voice, and says, "Oh, great! I really need to make some money. So this is what. Look, if you give me $100, I'll come over to your house." Again, their words, not mine. "I'll give you a blowjob, and you can fuck me." How do you respond to that? It's shell shock. What they are well, you'll understand. So I said the only thing I could say, I was in shock. I could not believe that this 14-year-old girl, I couldn't believe the entire situation. I couldn't believe any part of it. These people keep calling you back for over 2 hours. When you report this to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office just tells you, just don't answer your phone. Then, when you call someone who, you call a woman old, it doesn't bother her. She suddenly has an 18-year-old. Then when you tell them, hello, I don't like, I don't like 18-year-olds. I like them younger than 18. And you know what? If I wanted to see somebody, I don't have to call you. I'll see somebody in the neighborhood. Then they offer, oh, wait a minute, I've got a 14-year-old little sister. And then they actually call back and put somebody who you are convinced playing the role perfectly. Come on, you know, you females, you look, you know it. A 20-something-year-old female, they can do wonderful things with their little voices. You can put on that sweet little tiny little voice anytime you want to try to manipulate people and get what you want. And this is the Jacksonville Vice doing this. And now the Jacksonville Vice has just, Officer Etheridge has just solicited me. How would you respond to that? Well, I'm going to tell you what I said. I said the only thing that I could say at that time, because I had been bombarded. They had pounded on me and pounded on me for 2.5 hours. And it's not what you think I'm going to say. All I said was, okay. Like, okay, I cannot believe that this is happening. I cannot believe that you just said that to me. I can't believe that this sick little witch, Sabrina, actually got you, a 14-year-old little girl, to prostitute yourself. And remember, I'm a victim of sexual molestation as a child. And now this good little witch, Sabrina, has not only told me that, hey, I got a 14-year-old sister, let me call up and see if she'll do it. She's actually coerced, I believe. 14-year-olds don't go around looking to prostitute themselves. So I really, truly believe that the good little witch Sabrina is pimping out her little 14-year-old little sister and has talked her little 14-year-old little sister into doing this. And now the 14-year-old little sister has just prostituted herself, solicited me, offered herself up for prostitution. And again, I know it's crass, I know it's crude, but that's what was said to me. If you give me $100, I will come over to your house, I will give you a blowjob, and you can fuck me. How do you respond to that? Why is the Jacksonville Vice doing this? Well, because it's day 3 of the first ever reverse escort sting operation, and to this point, they haven't done anything right. The only thing that they've done is falsely detained / imprisoned, kidnapped, and held for ransom one Jacksonville resident. All because that individual, just like myself, had the misfortune of calling the ad that they placed in the Florida Times-Union. How about that? So as soon as I said, okay, dumbfounded, like, okay, I can't believe you're saying this, I'm dumbfounded. Instantly, Great, just give me your address and we'll be right over. Now, as soon as she said that, I'm like, oh, no. Reality sets back in. I said, no, 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 sweetheart. No, no. You are not coming to my house. Now, you see, they know they've got me. They know. They can tell. Because it's probably not just her on the phone. There's probably a bunch of them listening in. So I say, no, 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 no. I'm not giving you my address. You're not coming over to my house. Oh, okay, well, I don't have to come to your house. Again, this is recorded, folks. She says, well, I can meet you down the block and we can walk back to your house. I said, so wait a minute, hold on a second, sweetheart. What you're telling me is you're willing to meet me down the block and walk back to my house so you can perform sex acts for money. Yep. Okay, sweetheart. Do me a favor. Put your older sister back on the phone. Sabrina, the good little witch. I said, did you hear what your little sister just said to me? No. I said, well, this is what she said. She said that if I gave her $100, that she would come over to my house, give me a blowjob, and have sex with me. Okay. I said, you're okay with that? Yep. I'm fine with that. I said, okay. Now, she also said that she's even willing to be dropped off on the corner. I can meet her on the corner or on the block, away from my house, and then we can walk back to my house, where again she can, where she can perform sex acts for money. And you're okay? Are you okay with that? Yep, I'm fine with that. Really? Okay. So let me get this straight. You don't have a problem with your 14-year-old little sister having sex for money. You're okay with your little sister meeting a stranger, somebody you don't know, a man, meeting her on a street corner, and then walking back into a neighborhood, going someplace where you don't even know where in the world she's going or what's waiting for her. Also, she can have perform oral sex and have sex for money. Yep, I'm okay with it. And you're willing to drive her over here. Yep. I said, you're okay with that? Yep, she's a big girl. She can take care of herself. Sabrina's exact words, or should I say, Officer Radley's exact words. She's a big girl. She can take care of herself. And I told Sabrina that was it. I was furious. I was furious because here this Sabrina, the good little witch, has just told me that she's gone out. She's contacted her 14-year-old little sister. She's willing. She has convinced her 14-year-old little sister to have to prostitute herself and have sex for money, and is even willing to bring her 14-year-old little sister to drop her 14-year-old little sister off to meet a man that they do not know, to disappear into a neighborhood where they do not know where she's going to be at or what is waiting for her 14-year-old little sister once her 14-year-old little sister gets there. And they're willing to do so her 14-year-old little sister can perform oral sex and have sex with a grown man for money. And Sabrina is okay with that. And she just said all of that to a grown man, a Christian man, who he himself was a victim of child molestation. I am so furious at this woman. It's not funny. And I unload on this. This is a vile individual. This is a threat. And no, I'm sorry. This is wrong. Wrong. And I tell this woman point blank exactly what I think about her. I call her a female dog. Point blank. And I tell her, you are one sick female dog. I do not want to see you. I do not want to see your 18-year-old friend. I don't want to see anybody from your service. I don't want to see any escort, and I most certainly do not want to see your 14-year-old little sister. You are going to burn in hell for what you're doing. Do not call me back. And I hang up the phone. Now, again, I am enraged. I am enraged. I don't know what you would do, but I know I have done nothing wrong. The only thing that I have done is called an ad in the Jacksonville, that's in the Florida Times-Union on the front page of the Jacksonville Sheriff's, that's on the front page of the classified section of the Florida Times-Union, and asked for information. Now, a lot of you all are saying, well, but it was an escort service. You were trying. Don't tell me what I was trying to do, because you're going to get your little feelings hurt. Because there is no, if I was trying to do that, then how come I never did it? How about that? So, and this has all been done simply because the whole process, all they have been doing, this whole arrest and booking report narrative, is try to convince you, the reader, of how terrible of a person I am, simply because I called an escort ad that is listed in the Florida Times-Union, listed on the front page of the classified section, that the Jacksonville Vice Squad has put there. Their own words. And then how only oh man, he's asked for a younger little girl. Officer Ratley called him back, and he actually wanted to talk to the 14-year-old little girl. Yeah, well, you found the 14-year-old little girl. Why'd you go out and find somebody? And it's not a 14-year-old girl. It's a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office officer posing as a 14-year-old little girl. Then the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, while posing as a 14-year-old little girl, solicits me, offers herself up as prostitution. And then the other officer tells me that, hey, she's even willing to pimp out, bring her over, and we can meet someplace on a corner. How about that? Why? Well, because it's day 3 of the first ever reverse escort sting operation in Jacksonville, Florida. And to this day, the only thing that they have to show for all of their great efforts is they have falsely detained / imprisoned, kidnapped, and held for ransom one Jacksonville citizen. And now they're trying to do the same thing to me. So I don't know what you would do. I called the police. That's right. I called back the non-emergency phone number of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, spoke to the very same female officer. I said, you know that escort service that wouldn't stop calling me back? Yeah. Well, guess what? They just offered me a 14-year-old little girl. I said, here's the phone number. Here's where the ad is. And you know what the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line tells me? This is what they asked me. Well, do you know the girl? I said, are you stupid? No, I don't know the girl. It's an escort service. Well, why did you call this? It doesn't matter why I called the service. There's nothing wrong with calling the service. They offered me a 14-year-old little girl. Well, you don't know the girl? No, I don't know the girl. So how in the world do you know that she's really 14? You've got to be kidding me. I said, excuse me? How do you know the girl is really 14? Again, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is encouraging me. They're caught. I just called up the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and told them that this escort service is pimping out a 14-year-old little girl, and they're asking me if I know the girl, and how do I know if the girl is really 14 or not? And this is the second time I'm calling them. And then she says, again, do you know? Ask, do you? How do you know if the girl is really 14? And then says, without knowing that the child is really 14 years old, there's nothing that we can do about it. And there's nothing that we will do about it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Remember, folks, Florida statute 796.03, procuring person under age of prostitution. Apparently, this Jacksonville Sheriff's officer, who's answering the non-emergency line, does not know the Florida statutes, which means they've got no business being a law enforcement officer because they don't even know the statutes that they are supposed to be enforcing. Procuring is a process, and you do not need an actual person underneath the age of 18 years to procure it. Again, here's what the statute says. A person who procures, or right there, a person who procures for prostitution or causes to be prostituted, any person who is under the age of 18 years commits a felony of the second degree, punishable as provided in statute. And again, these two statutes are the very same two statutes used to penalize both a violation of Florida statute 800.04 as well as the solicitation of prostitution statute 796.07. Okay? And to procure someone, it's a process. All you have to do is ask for a person underneath the age of 18 or offer a person underneath the age of 18. And that is exactly what I just reported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. That the Jacksonville Sheriff's Vice just offered me a 14-year-old child. That's what you just read, folks. That's what this is. When Officer Ratley called him back and told the defendant that she found a 14-year-old little girl, she just said that she procured for prostitution or causes to be prostituted any person who is underneath the age of 18 years. And what is that? That's a felony of the second degree. And that's exactly what I just reported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line. That these people, this escort service, remember, they're the ones doing the investigation, so they're criminals, and now that is criminal activity. That is criminal activity in offering. That's called human trafficking, is what that is, folks. And who is the one that's trafficking these people? Why, it's the Jacksonville Vice. It's Officer Ratley and Officer Etheridge. As well as, let's not forget about the whole crew, J.W. Strickland, M. Boymer. I don't even know what new. I can't even. I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce this guy's name. Ratley, Etheridge, and then let's not forget the brother, because yes, this is a black guy, Washington. They're the ones that are calling up and professing that they are trafficking a 14-year-old child, pimping out. And by Officer Ratley, called by Officer Ratley, telling me that she found a 14-year-old little girl. But that is procuring. The whole process was, again, what did Officer Ratley tell me on the phone? Or what did Sabrina tell me on the phone? Well, I have a 14-year-old little sister. Let me call her up. That's beginning the process. That is the search for a child, for a minor or a person under the age of 18. Let me call up my little sister and let me see if she's willing to come over. Oh, she is willing to come over. And you say, well, Kay, look, there is no child. Doesn't say that. It doesn't say a actual child, does it? That's a sick thing just to even offer. That is a sick thing. Why in the world is the Jacksonville Vice pimping out 14-year-old little girls? And why are they placing ads encouraging? Why are they placing ads in the Florida Times Union that are listed on the front page of the classified section, simply to offer underage girls, pimp out underage girls? That's procuring a person under the age of, as procuring for prostitution a person who is under the age of 18 years. That's exactly what she just did. And that's exactly what I reported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line. And what did they tell me? What did they tell me? They tell me, again, they asked, do I know the girl? Then if you don't know the girl, and how in the world do you know she's really 14. I'm going to tell you why they said that. They are basically telling me, look, it's okay to see the escort. Go ahead, see the escort. She's probably just lying to you. It doesn't matter how old they tell you. Hello? Because again, remember, their whole goal is to run a story like this on in the Jacksonville in the Florida Times Union, to tell everybody just exactly how terrible people are who call up these evil, vile, disgusting people called escorts or prostitutes, their definition. And just to call these people out, you know what are we going to do? We are going to place an ad ourselves in the Florida Times Union, and we're going to show everybody exactly how terrible, how good we are, and how terrible everybody else is. So in other words, everybody that calls that number, you're a terrible person. You're scum of the earth. And we're going to put the number in there simply to shame you. Oh no, not just to shame you, to come over to your house, falsely detain / imprison you, kidnap you, and then hold you for ransom, and then tell the whole world about the simple fact that you were trying to have sex out of wedlock, and we know this because you called an escort, and we gave you the opportunity to simply shame you. There is no such thing as criminal solicitation of prostitution. And because I will not, evidently not everybody that calls up that phone number is looking to see an escort. Again, their own words. The only thing that I ask for is information. They never come over to my house. They're even dangling a 14-year-old girl. I don't know why. You ask them why they're doing this. And again, it is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Squad that's doing this. And again, that meets the definition of a person who procures for prostitution or causes to be prostituted. The "or" tells you you don't need an actual person underneath the age of 18. You just have to procure one. Be looking for one. It's a process. Again, in this arrest and booking report narrative, does it say I asked for a 14-year-old girl? No. Does it say I asked for anyone underneath the age of 18? No. Does it say I asked for anyone to call me? No. Does it say I asked for anyone? Did I offer money? No. Because again, even according to the very own arrest and booking report, I had no money. And again, I have the audacity to call up the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and report that the criminal activity. I'm reporting people who have told me that they are pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. And I've reported that I've given them all the information. I've given them the phone number. And this is the second time I'm contacting the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office about this supposed evil, bad escort business. And you know that they're evil and bad because, hello, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is investigating them. And the only reason why the officer does not do anything about it is because the officer that I called at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line, this female officer at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, who's answering the non-emergency line, The only reason why she refuses to do anything about it is because she knows it is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office who has violated Florida Statute 796.03. And I just have the audacity to call up and report their crimes for the second time. Now, guess who else is on the hook? That officer is on the hook. They got to take me out. So what does she do? She just tries to say, look, without proof that it's really a 14-year-old, that the girl's really 14, then it's not against the law. It's not against the law. You got to prove it. That's not what this statute says. A person who procures for prostitution or causes to be prostituted. In other words, procurement is a process. All you got to do is ask or offer. You don't have to actually have a person underneath the age of 18 to violate this statute. So says the statute. You just read it. Procurement is a request. But the simple fact that they won't even look into it, again, she says that without having, I think she said without having proof that the girl is really 14, there's nothing that we can do about it and nothing that we will do about it. So I guess, the escort businesses really aren't that bad. I guess it's really not a crime to be an escort. Is it? Well, it's not a crime to be an escort as long as you're the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Squad posing as an escort service. Then it's just a escort business. It's not a criminal enterprise. So I told this woman, I said, wait a minute, hold on a second. You're telling me that you need proof that the girl is really 14 before you'll do anything about it? Yep, that's right. That's right. So she says that because she's trying to encourage me to get proof for her. Hello? Because again, I've just reported the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Unit pimping out a 14-year-old girl. They got some serious problems here. And I just told this female JSO officer that. And this is the second time I'm calling up about this escort service. And she tells me without proof again, she's creating a situation. Well, how in the world do you get proof? Well, I got to do your job for you? Uh-huh. I said, well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to have these people. I said, they're asking to come over to my house. Well, don't do that. I'm not going to do that. Again, why did they say that? Why did that officer tell me, oh, don't do that? Because, again, they want me to they're trying to convince me that I've already committed a crime simply by calling the phone number that they put in the newspaper. It's not a crime. But what the Jacksonville Vice is doing is that they are the ones committing the crime. So she said one last time, I said, so you can't do anything about it? She says, without having proof that the girl is really 14 years old, there's nothing that we can do about it, and there's nothing that we will do about it. Yet, Florida Statute 796.03 says a person who procures, seeks out for prostitution a person underneath the age of 18 or causes to be prostituted, any person who is under the age of 18 years commits a felony of the second degree. I've just reported a second-degree felony to this Jacksonville sheriff's officer, and she won't do anything about it simply because she knows it is the Jacksonville Vice unit that is the one that has just committed this second-degree felony. And it's okay when they do it because, well, they're the good guys. They are the law. No, the law is the law. So, what can I do? I can't do anything. I'm definitely not going to have these people come over to my house. There's no way in the world. So I hang up the phone and I said, all right, well, I've done everything I can do. So what do you think? Not the good witch, because I've already told her, do not call me back again. And you see, now she knows I did not take any kind of bait. Didn't give my address. I'm not going to meet them anywhere. Nothing. So I'm going to guess that because they never gave me the name. I never asked for the 14-year-old's name or the supposed 14-year-old's name. I'm going to guess that her name was Angel. Okay. Angel calls me back this time. Almost, again, like 2 minutes after getting off the phone with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office itself, the non-emergency line. 2 minutes later, the 14-year-old little girl calls me back. And says, look, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do it soon because my mom's going to be getting home from work soon. So I got to be back at the house by at least 7. So if we're going to do this, let's do this. I said, sweetheart, look, I'm only going to say this once, okay? I do not want to see you. You are not coming over to my house, and you are not going to, and I am not going to meet you anywhere. You shouldn't be doing what you're offering, what you're doing. Now, put your sister on the phone. And then the good little witch gets back on. I'm telling you, folks, you can't make this up. And my version of events is recorded. And I said, look, I don't care if you keep calling me. You can keep calling me all you want. Because I'm not going to be here. Where are you going? What the hell does that matter to you? I'm not going to be here. So stop calling. Well, where are you going? We can meet you someplace. Now, why do they want to do that? Because, again, by interjecting a fictitious 14-year-old little girl, what they just set up is they set up to make it look like that I'm just like all of these sexual predators who use the internet, because they're all. Strong was arrested when he went to meet the deputy in a public location. The next day, Tuesday, police paged Crone and set a meeting on the corner of the 7400 block of Blanding Boulevard. Police said Patterson called and set up a meeting with the boy so they could have sex in his car. The detectives met Patterson in the parking lot of a Crystal restaurant and arrested him. So now that's what they're trying to do. They are trying to meet, since by them injecting a fictitious 14-year-old little girl into the situation, they are now, they believe They have the right, and you will agree with them. Okay? You will agree with them. The reason why you're going to agree with them is because they are the recognized authority, and they are invoking an emotional response by telling you that I attempted and solicited a minor, and that's why it says right here, knowing that he was talking with a 14-year-old after being told so, agreed to pay Officer Etheridge $100 for sex. But it's not just sex, it's sex 6 times. Sex 1, sex 2, sex 3, sex 4, sex 5, sex 6. Because you skipped over this the last time that we read it. Maybe you passed it over. But they say vice detectives and both officers met the defendant at 4544 Atlantic Boulevard Racetrack gas station, where he was arrested and Mirandized. And you don't even blink, simply because that's where everybody is arrested in public. 7400 block of Blanding Boulevard. The next day, met the detectives Patterson in the parking lot. So again, that's the way I just showed up because that's how these pedophiles work. Only one little problem. There is no explanation as to why the vice detectives and both officers met the defendant. Because they didn't meet me. Because again, this is what I told Sabrina. She asked me, where am I going? I told her, I said, y'all can keep calling all you want. I'm not going to be here anymore. Well, where are you going? To the store. What store? You tell us and we can meet you. You tell us and we can meet you. Now, folks, don't think for 1 second that they don't already know where I live. They're the Jacksonville Vice. They've only been calling me. All I got to do is run the phone number to find out the address. It's a landline telephone. It's 1997. I don't have a cell phone. How about that? So they already know where I'm at. And now what they're going to do is they're going to keep harassing me, keep hounding me. They believe now that all they have to do is meet me someplace and threaten and say, you were trying to hook up with a 14-year-old little girl. How else did we know where you were? Because that's the reason why the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency line said, we can't do anything without having proof that the child is really 14 years old. There's nothing that we can do about that and nothing that we will do about it. In other words, you're going to have to prove to us that the girl is really 14, when that's not what this statute says. And remember, folks, it is the Jacksonville Vice that's doing that. So as soon as she says this, as soon as Sabrina says, we can meet you, instantly into my mind comes the because I just got off the phone with him. I just got off the phone with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and instantly she says, what I keep hearing is, hello, without proof. We need proof that the girl is really 14. Now, and again, I'm a victim of sexual molestation myself. I wanna rid this. I want Sabrina to pay the price, as well as this entire escort service, because they're pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. This, in my mind, is the victim, because she is the victim. If it was a real 14-year-old little girl. So I tell her, well, I'm just going to go instantly. I want to get this girl. I want to get her so bad, but I'm definitely not going to have him come to my house. And I tell her, I said, well, I'm going to the racetrack gas station to get me something to drink. Which one? They already know which one. But again, they've got to make it look like that I set the appointment, because that's where everybody gets arrested, is in public. Okay? And I said, the one at the corner, the one across the street from Episcopal High School on Atlantic Boulevard at the base of the Hart Bridge. Great, we can be there in 15 minutes. I said, whoa, hold on, hold on. I don't want to meet you. I'm going to that store to get me something to drink. You see, did not want to give them the out of them saying, well, he wanted to meet us there. I said, no, I'm not going there to meet you. I don't want to meet you. I don't want anything to do with you. I've only been telling you for over 2 hours now not to call me. I said, I'm going there to get me something to drink. Well, it just wait for us. I said, look, are you deaf? Can you not hear? See, I don't like this woman. She's pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. I said, I do not want to see you. I do not want to meet you. I am going to the racetrack gas station to get me something to drink. And you know what? It takes me maybe 5 minutes to walk there. So unless you can be there in 5 minutes, I won't be there when you get there. See, my goal was just to get a description. I want a tag number. I want proof. And why the racetrack gas station? Again, everybody knows me there. I am there every single day. It's a public place. They're not going to do anything stupid in a public place. And if they do something stupid in a public place, well, I got my friends who can call the police. No, I'm trying to eliminate the threat, because remember, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office non-emergency number told me that they needed proof. Well, okay, well then fine. I'm going to get you the proof. I'm definitely not going to tell these people where in the world I live. They're not going to come over to my house. I don't want nothing to do with them. All I want is a tag number or physical description, a description of the car, and alike. So I cannot make it look like that no. I'm not gonna give them an out. So I'm not gonna have them say, well, he asked us to come here. Nope. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna give these people an out because they are the threat. Period. So she asks again. Well, why are they the threat? This is why they're the threat. Because they are pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. I believe. I've talked to the girl. They've called me they've been harassing me for 2.5 hours. They just put what I believe is a 14-year-old little girl on the phone who offered to prostitute herself, solicited me, offered herself up as a prostitute. And her older sister told me that she was willing to bring her 14-year-old little sister to my house, or drop her off on a corner somewhere. I don't want to, and they're the threat. And I'm going to do everything I can. I've done everything I can up until this point. I've called and reported these people to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office twice, and now the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells me I need proof. Fine, I will give you the proof. I will get you a tag number. I will get you a description of the car, but I'm not going to have these people come to my house.
Remember, folks, they've got to do something about me, because I've reported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office the criminal actions of this escort service, which just so happens to be being run by the Jacksonville Vice Unit. I've called them up and told them already that, who's them? The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. I've reported that they have been calling me and harassing me for over 2 hours. And the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office solution to that problem is just don't answer your phone. Now, I've just called in and reported that they are pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. And the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells me that without proof, without knowing, or proof, without having proof that the child is really 14 years old, there's nothing that we can do about it, and nothing that we will do about it. But that is not what this statute says. Okay? It says, Florida Statute 796.03, procuring person under age of 18 for prostitution. A person who procures for prostitution, seeks out, asks for, says, hey, I have a 14-year-old little sister, let me see if she will come see you. Oh, look, my 14-year-old little sister says that she will come see you. Would you like to talk to her? Oh, here she is. Boom. And then the 14-year-old little sister says, solicits me. Just a simple fact that Officer Officer Ratley, right here, this is procuring, found a 14-year-old girl. The simple fact that she says that is procurement. She's telling me that she found a person underneath the age of 18, or under age of 18. And she's telling me that as an escort, as a supposed prostitute. And the only reason why she's telling me that is, again, so that Officer Etheridge can solicit me. So they're setting the stage. That is procurement. This is an either-or statute. A person who procures for prostitution, seeks out, finds one. Just telling you that. Somebody that's telling you, I have a 14-year-old little sister. I don't know if there's a 14-year-old little sister or not. No one knows. No one would know. But what if it is a real 14-year-old little sister? Someone that says, I know someone under the age of 18. Let me contact them and see if they will come perform sex acts to you and upon you for money. They just committed, a person who procures, that is the procurement process. They just committed a felony of the 2nd degree. A person who causes, a person who causes to be prostituted, a person under the age of 18 years. In other words, the person actually shows up and actually gets pimped out and actually shows up to somebody's house and actually does the act, actually performs sex acts for money. They're under 18. That is a felony of the 2nd degree. This is an either-or statute. Either or. The best case scenario for these people is if they showed up and it's really, and as remember, the Jacksonville non-emergency number said, how do you know that the person is really 14? If they show up and the person really isn't 14, then what happens? That's called an attempted procurement of a person or an attempted offering of a minor. So what happens by law for the attempted? This felony second degree is dropped to a third degree felony. Florida law says that any act that is any felony that is an attempted felony or not followed through drops down one notch. That's why you have first degree murder and why attempted murder is second degree murder. Because you didn't do it. You were just trying to do it. Okay? So, best case scenario for these people, since it's really not a 14-year-old little girl, is they've just committed a third degree felony. Okay? And again, I am a threat because their whole goal for running this whole prostitution sting is to run a story just like this. Plain and simple, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And now I've just contacted the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office twice concerning the Jacksonville Vice unit's actions. I don't know it's the Jacksonville Vice, but the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, again, knows, because remember, it is the first ever. This is one of those deals that we have never done this before in Jacksonville, said Sergeant David Stevens, who heads the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Squad. So you're not going to tell me that the whole department doesn't know about this. You're not going to tell me that they don't know about it. They all know about it. And now you've got one counterfeit law enforcement officer covering for all of these bullies. So why are they pushing to meet me? Well, again, they truly believe that by injecting this 14-year-old little girl, this fictitious 14-year-old little girl, into the situation, that all they have to do is find out where I'm going to be and then show up and arrest me. They don't care. Because, hello, unless they remove me, they're all going to prison. I'm going to out everybody. I'm going to out everybody. They've got to remove me. They've got to get to my house and remove all of the evidence. And again, they are convinced that everyone who calls this ad has at least $110 to $150 cash money on them to pay for the prostitute. So it's their goal to try to coerce me, which is nothing more than threaten me into admitting that the only reason why I call this number is the very reason why a lot of you all are thinking I called the number was to try to hook up and have sex outside of wedlock with a prostitute. Yet they never came to my house. So what they've been doing is bombarding me. They all Strickland is doing is Strickland is going back to his training. Because remember, you all probably forgot, remember, he's been doing this since, goodness gracious, sometime in March? I got it written down here somewhere. He's been doing it for 8 weeks prior. 8 weeks prior to May 3rd. That's what it says. It was 7 weeks. A special agent in Jacksonville, 2 detectives were right here. In Jacksonville, 2 detectives in the Sheriff's Vice Unit have been posing on the internet for the past 7 weeks. 7 weeks back from May 3rd. And May 3rd is the end of the week. It's a Saturday. So, let's see if we can't pull it up here. Can y'all see that? Okay, we're going to go to 1997. And we're going to go to May. I don't know if y'all can see that. May 3rd is a Saturday. So the first week is the 27th, or the 28th, Monday the 28th of April. Okay? So that's April, March. Yep. Since March 10th. They've been doing this since March 10th of 1997. They've been doing this very thing. And now all they're trying to do is make it look like that I set a meeting. Set a meeting. And who trained them how to do all this? Why? Mr. Doug Reenham of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. He's been doing this. He has spent more than 1,000 hours online, posing as everything from a young boy or girl to an adult pedophile to capture people who prey on children. Yet they are creating criminals. Again, folks, keep in mind, they are convinced that everyone that calls that number is looking for sex with a prostitute. We are all criminals. Folks, in case you haven't caught on yet, there is a certain element of the human race that believes that the only people who are not criminals are law enforcement officers, attorneys, judges, as well as any kind of publicly held office. Everybody else is criminals. Everybody else are criminals. Oh, you can also throw in there doctors as well as emergency responders, firefighters and the like. Those are all the good guys. Everybody else's are the bad guys. And they are convinced that if you just give all of us criminals the opportunity, the mere opportunity to commit a crime, that we will do it, and they will catch you doing it. So that now, again, they are convinced that all they have to do, simply because they have injected a fictitious 14-year-old little girl, just like Doug Reenham, or Riemann, I don't know, has trained them to do. I told you folks, lost people can be talked into and convinced to do anything because they are lost. They do not have a relationship with their Creator. And everybody that operates under works, also known as people who are proving how good they are seizing upon this opportunity and say, oh, I can't believe that they did that. I can't believe, Kay, that you actually called an escort service when there's nothing illegal about it. Well, you were trying to pay for sex. Okay, hold on a second. Let's just take criminal activity and prostitution all out of it. So paying to be with someone is a crime, huh? Right? Paying someone money to spend time with them, or paying a service, a business, or as right here it's called an escort service. So paying a escort, where is it at? The escort service, yeah. The police escort service. Paying a service money to spend time with someone is a crime. Well, then I guess what? That makes you a prostitute because you're accepting money to spend time with someone. Then guess what? Every dating site is nothing but a bunch of prostitutes and a bunch of Johns trying to hook up. And all they're doing is they're pimping out. See, you got your little feelings hurt, didn't you? There's no such thing as criminal solicitation of prostitution. You've seen the commercial. The girl says, well, hey, I like this one better because people have to pay to be on it. Means they're going to be more serious about hooking up and more selective about who they hook up with. That's all they are. So there you go. There you go. If you're on a dating site, girls, you're nothing more than a prostitute. According to those who operate by works, according to the Florida statute 796.07, because you are offering yourself up for money. The only way that people can get to you, the only way that you can see other guys, and the only way that other guys can see you is if both parties pimp themselves out and pay for it. But I digress. There is no such thing as criminal solicitation of prostitution. But Doug Renham has been teaching J.W. Strickland, as well as what, R-True, exactly how to set people up. The only problem is they're trying to set up a child of the Most High God. I haven't taken the bait. Now, they are convinced, they're still convinced, these people are idiots, they're control freaks. I got to get rid of you because otherwise, see, they operate under works too. They operate underneath the law of the jungle as well. And if it ever comes out that we did all of this, that we called this guy for 2.5 hours, offering, and he never does anything. Because again, we're going to write this story. We're going to write this story. That's the whole goal, is to tell everybody how good we are and look how bad all these people are that are calling up escort services. It's not a crime. It's nobody's business what somebody does in their own time. Now, Christian, this is a slippery slope. What do you want? Do you want these people to come up and start defining what you can and cannot do in your home? Who you can and cannot pray to? What you can and cannot say in your own church? If you do not want it to be done to you, then you do not do it to others. That's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is the most ungodly statute around. It's nobody's business. It's not a crime. They are convincing you that it's a crime. And that's all that they're trying to do, is they are trying to convince me that I've done something wrong. And they've been trained that way by Doug Renham. They've been trained that way. They have been trained that way since March 10th by Doug Renham of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. It is called, ladies and gentlemen, policing people. They create the crime, and now, oh, we're going to show you how good of law enforcement. You're bad. You're terrible. It's a crime because we've said it's a crime. When the 5th District Court of Appeals has already told you, you've already read it. It is not a crime for one adult to solicit another adult to commit a lewd or lascivious act. And that's what Florida Statute 796.02 is. It's a lewd act. So what are they doing now? They're simply trying to find out where I'm going to be so they can come and shame me. They believe that when they show up, I'm going to have how much money on me? I'm going to have at least $100 to $150 on me. And what they're going to do is they're going to try to shame me and say, "Oh my God, you were talking to 14-year-old little girls. You called our escort service because you were looking for and wanting a 14-year-old little girl. And all we're doing is we had Officer Ratley call you back and tell you that she found a 14-year-old little girl. And here you are. The reason why we know where we went, why we know where you were, is because you set up a meeting and you told us where you were going. And look, you've got $100 to $150 cash money on us. You were such a pervert, you were trying to hide. You didn't want your neighbors knowing that you really want a 14-year-old little girl. You don't want your neighbors to know that you wanted a 14-year-old little girl so that you could take that 14-year-old little girl, and you knew she was a 14-year-old little girl because we told you so, and you then agreed to pay that 14-year-old little girl $100 for sex, and that's the reason why you are here. Now, that's what they really believe. That's what they're trying to do. That's called coercing somebody. That's why they're trying to meet me, and what they're going to try to do is they're trying to scare me into saying, "Oh no, man, I wasn't trying to hook up with some 14-year-old little girl. All I was just trying to do was just to see one of these prostitutes, one of your prostitutes, better known as an escort." So, by facing this, instead of facing, this is what you're looking at, son. You're looking at an attempted lewd and lascivious upon a minor, and you're looking at soliciting a minor to prostitute themselves. Because remember, we told you. After being told so, you still agreed to pay the 14-year-old girl $100 for a blowjob and to have sex with her. So instead of facing all that, I'm just gonna no, man. I'm no pervert. Nope, 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 nope. I was just trying to see an escort. That's what I was all to do. Okay, so take me away. I'll admit to seeing an escort, but I ain't gonna admit to seeing, because no, Because again, what am I supposed to say? What exactly am I supposed to say? Because remember, they believe that I'm walking around with at least $100 to $150 on me. They've only been calling me up for 2.5 hours now. So now all they're doing is they are, where is it at? Where is it at? Yeah, they are setting the meeting. Okay? That's all they're doing. So I continue with this dingbat of a woman. Okay, what I just went through, that is how they get these people. They shame all of these stories, all of these stories here about all of these people that are trying to hook up and see a 14-year-old and how old is this one? 15-year-old and a 14-year-old. These people are lost. They know that these people that they're not right in the head. They know that they do not have a good relationship with their God. The simple fact that they're in a chat room with children doesn't say that they're a pedophile. It just says that they have no confidence in themselves as a human being, because they do not know how wonderfully and beautifully we are created. They do not know their purpose because they do not have a relationship with their Creator. So, who is the real predator? Is it the person that's just not confident, so they have to hang around with adolescents? Or is it the person that knows the type of person? They know that these people just aren't confident. They just have no confidence. And they know the reason why, because remember, they're law enforcement officers, and according to the Word of Almighty God, they are ministers of Almighty God. Is it the law enforcement officer? Or at least they're supposed to be ministers of Almighty God. They're supposed to be making sure, they're supposed to be building people up, not tearing people down, not setting people up. So they just go up in there and they know, hey, all I got to do is just dangle it. These people are screwed up to begin with. All we got to do is just tell them exactly how bad they are. And you know what? Because they're lost, because they don't have a relationship with their Creator, they're going to admit, yeah, I thought about that. Because every one of us is tempted every single day, every single hour of every single day. Even Jesus Christ himself was tempted. But there's a huge difference between being tempted and then actually committing the act. So what, again, all this escort service ad was tempting people to commit a sin. A sin, not a crime. Because there is no such thing as criminal solicitation or prostitution. So they think that that's who they're dealing with. They think that they're dealing with these same people. Oh, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to hook up with a 15-year-old. You're trying to hook up with a 14-year-old. You're trying to hook up with a 14-year-old little girl simply because that's the reason why you're here. That's the reason why you're telling us where you're going to be. And it's making it look like, again, like I made the appointment. Where's it at? That I set up a meeting. That's what they're trying to make it look like. Because if they don't, hello, they're all going to prison. They've already stopped being law enforcement officers, folks, because of what they did to this guy, to the guy on the day before, the day before, to this man right here. You want to know how old this man is? He's 60. Don't worry, I'm going to show you your arrest and booking report. I got it all, folks. These people, they've got way too much time on their hands. So they got to create criminals. Again, it's called policing. It's a lot easier to go get somebody and shame somebody than it is to catch a real criminal. Because real criminals fight back. Hello? Real criminals fight back. No, no, no. It is much easier for us counterfeit, fraudulent law enforcement officers to spend thousands of hours online setting up the weakest of the weak, setting up easy targets, pointing out people's faults, tempting the lost to do exactly what the lost do. Ungodly, stupid things. Now, folks, I'm just going to stop right here for a second. That is not to say that there are not those who actually do seek out and who really do prey on children. But isn't it amazing how ever since the internet came about and ever since they started this stuff, suddenly they're everywhere? That's because they were created. Again, there are Donald Smiths of the world. Just ask the Periwinkle family about Donald Smith. Just ask the Thornton family about Donald Smith. So yes, they are out there. But there are not as many as these people profess. The vast majority of them are created by people just like Riemann. Because again, it's a whole lot easier to beat up on the lost, to shame someone who does not know their Creator. It's a lot easier to tempt a sinner to sin than it is to tempt a child of the Most High God to sin. And that's exactly what these supposed law enforcement officers are about to find out. Because these dummies are they just keep coming. So back to Ratley, a.k.a. Sabrina, the good little witch. So she asked me to please wait for her once I get to the racetrack gas station. And again, after calling me and harassing me for 2.5 hours and offering me her 14-year-old little sister, this is still me after me telling her, calling her a female dog, telling her that she's going to burn in hell for what she's doing to her 14-year-old little sister. This imbecile still wants to meet me. Fine. If you're that stupid, if you are that hell-bent on going to jail, then I've got no problem sending you and your whole little crew to jail. Bring it. But the last thing I'm going to do, Sabrina, the good little witch, is give you a way out. So I tell her, again, look, I'm not going down there to see you. It only takes me 5 minutes for me to get there. So what Sabrina's next thing is, and again, this is coming at me rapid fire, folks. She then quickly says, so what are you wearing? And why does she ask me what I'm wearing? Because Ratley believes that she is dealing with a lost person. And she wants to make it look like that I'm just like this individual here, crone. And I gave them a description. Because once again, folks, and the only reason why I'm giving them a description is so that they will know that I want to make sure that you all find me. Yet I didn't give them a description. Really kind of makes you wonder if Crone or if any of these people did any of the things that they did now, doesn't it? But again, these people are such control freaks. They are convinced that everyone who has called the ad, what ad? The ad that they have put in the Florida Times-Union for all of us criminals to call, they're convinced that every person that calls that ad has at least $100 to $150 to give to an escort, aka prostitute, their definitions, not mine, to pay for sex. And now they're making it look like that once again, I gave them a description to make sure that they will be able to find me so that I can give them $100 to pay to have a 14-year-old little girl give me a blowjob and I can have sex with. Because again, what I'm going to do is and then all they're going to have to do is show up, pick me out and say, look, you even told us what you were wearing. That's how we knew we were here. So what am I going to do? Well, again, I'm going to be facing all of these charges, and they're going to coerce me. They're going to say, look, this is what you're looking at, boy. You either fess up, because look, you've got, and you've got $100 on you. That's the only reason why you gave us that's the only reason why you gave us a description of what you look like. That's the only reason why you told us where you were going, so you could meet us at the racetrack gas station. Well, they're about to get their tiny little irrelevant, insignificant, pointless, meaningless feelings hurt! Because, again, I don't want anything to do with Ratley. I don't want anything to do with Sabrina. Or who's the other one? Angel. Or I don't want anything to do with Strickland. I don't want anything to do with any of them. But hey, dummies, you stupid enough to keep coming at the child of God. If you're still stupid enough to keep calling the child of God a lost individual, if you are so convinced, if you're so stupid to keep calling that which has been redeemed by the blood of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, then fine. Hey, I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem proving you wrong. Because I know I have done absolutely nothing wrong. The only thing I've done is called an ad that you all put in the Florida Times-Union and asked for information. Even according to your very own little handwriting. So I tell, I'm not about to give Sabrina a way out. You all want to go to jail? Fine, 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 fine. So I tell her what she's wearing. I have no idea why she's asking me that. But it doesn't hurt my feelings, because what does that mean? That means they have to approach me. They have to seek me out. I haven't asked them what they look like. I haven't asked them what kind of car they're driving or would be driving. I haven't asked them what the 14-year-old looks like. I haven't asked them anything. I haven't asked them how tall they are, the color of their hair, the color of their eyes. You've read the arrest and booking report already. So that means they're going to have, they are now seeking me out. Fine. You're that stupid. You keep coming at the child of God. Hello, I've told you all, I told Sabrina I was going to call the police on them, and this imbecile's still coming to me, wanting to meet me. Okay, fine. So I tell her what I'm wearing. And then she says, well, will you wait for us? And I said, look, are you stupid? I just told you I'm going down there not to meet you. I'm going down there to get me something to drink, and it only takes me 5 minutes to get there. So what is Sabrina's next brilliant idea? Well, then Sabrina says, well, then just wait 10 minutes before you leave to give us a chance to head that way so that we're there when you get there. Because she remembered, at least she remembered the fact that I told her that it took me 5 minutes to walk there. So I told Dingbat one more time. I said, Sabrina, I didn't even call her by name. I said, you're stupid. I want to make this perfectly clear to you. You all can keep calling me because I'm not going to be here. And the reason why I'm not going to be here is because I am going to the racetrack gas station to get me something to drink. Now, I cannot stop you from going there. You can go there if you want to. I can't do anything about that. But I am not going there to meet you. I'm not going there to wait for you to meet you. Nor will I sit at my house and wait 10 minutes before going down there because, again, I do not want to meet you. If you want me to be there when you get there, then you best beat feet, because it only takes me 5 minutes to walk there, and once I get my drink, I am then leaving. So what is brain dead? What does this imbecile say to me? Ask me again the very same stupid question. Will you please wait 10 minutes before you go down there? Now, I'm sorry, stupid is as stupid does, but apparently these people are just stupid. So I've had enough. Apparently they're just hearing whatever in the world they want to hear. So I just say goodbye, and I hang up the phone. And you're probably thinking to yourself, but Kay, I thought you said you wanted to meet them. Yeah. I didn't want to meet them. I wanted a description of them. I don't have to be sitting there. My goal was to go get my drink and then sit across the street, because there is a business park across the street, stand across the street from a JSO lieutenant's house. You heard me right. There is a JSO lieutenant that lives on that block. I'm going to stand across the street right in front of a Jacksonville Sheriff's Office lieutenant's house, and I'm going to wait to see them pull up. That was my plan. However, after hanging up the phone, I realized that, oh my goodness gracious, I don't know what kind of car they're driving. I don't even know what the heck they look like. So, what that means is, well, they're going to have to see me. They're going to have to come to me. They're going to have to see me, so I'm going to have to be standing outside. And again, look, okay, if that's what's going to have to happen, then if I'm going to have to meet up with these people face to face, and guess what? I'm not going to bring my ID with me because I don't want these people knowing where I live. Because again, I do not have a clue as to how many of these people are going to show up. It could be 1 carload. It could be 2 carloads. It could be 3 carloads. I have no idea what their intentions are. These are some sick people. They're pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. Sabrina has told me that she is willing to pimp out and has offered to pimp out, offered to drop off her 14-year-old little sister. These are some sick, deprived people. But they are a threat. They are a threat to everyone. But they're especially a threat to this 14-year-old little girl. But Kay, it's not a real girl. Yeah, I don't know that. So I say, okay, I'm going to leave my wallet. I'm going to leave my keys. And I'm going to leave, and they're very lucky. The Lord told me to leave him. At the time, I had a 65-pound pit beagle. One big, giant, solid muscle. Charlie. And had these people done what they are about to do with Charlie around, a couple of them would have been walking around as eunuchs, if you know what I'm saying. Okay? Because that dog would have defended me to the death. So the Lord says, nope, don't take Charlie with you. Leave Charlie here. Okay, so I leave everything. The only thing that I need is my 44-ounce refillable racetrack gas station cup. Because I'm going down there. I'm not lying to these people. I'm thirsty. It's been 2.5 hours I've been talking on the phone. I'm thirsty. I'm going down there to get me something to drink. So I start walking down the street. Or through the business park. What time of day is it, folks? It's about 5:30. Maybe 5:35. I made the first phone call at 3. 2.5 hours is 5:30. It's still daylight. Dusk. It's December. The day after my birthday. It doesn't fully, that time of year, in the first week of December, it doesn't get totally pitch black dark until probably about 6:30. Okay? So I start walking down, I start walking through the business park, going to get my refill, and I said, Lord, what in the world am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because if they show up with a real 14-year-old little girl, God have mercy on them all. God have mercy on them all. Because I will show them no mercy. Because again, I am a victim of childhood molestation. And the Lord says, don't worry about it. You're not alone. I said, I'm going to have to be standing out there by myself. Why am I having to do this? Why won't the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office do something about this? Why are they forcing me to go, or not forcing, because I could have just been like a lot of you all, just ignored it. None of my business. No, not me. I am going to remove this threat. I'm going to do everything I possibly can do to get the proof that there really is a 14-year-old little girl that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office refuses to even look into. Fine, I'll do it. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm washed in the blood of Jesus. I'm covered in the blood of Jesus from the top of my head to the very soles of my feet. Nothing gets through the blood of Jesus. I'm not worried about these people. So as I'm walking, the Lord tells me, the Lord says, you're not going to be alone. I'm in control. I said, okay, fine. So I walk down there, and as I'm coming rounding the corner, not rounding the corner, getting to the point where I can see the racetrack gas station, what do I see? Now let me explain something to you. Okay, the racetrack gas station isn't one of these big giant new ones. It's an old Matchbox one. This is the whole store. This right here, this area right here inside this little box is the cash register area, and the rest of this is the store, and then right back here is the cooler. Well, the manager of the store is outside because the cooler door is on the outside of the building, and he's got the cooler door open and he's filling the cooler. And the Lord tells me, you will stand right, you will go in the store, you will get your little drink, and then you will come back out and you will stand right there talking to your friend, and you will stand there until he leaves. As soon as he leaves, you leave. I said, yes, Lord, I can do that. So here it comes, Kay. Hey, manager buddy, how you doing? Hey, Kay, how you doing? Where's Charlie? Oh, I left him at the house today. Go in the door. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Hey, Kay, how you doing? Where's Charlie? Oh, I left him at the house today. Got my refill of my Dr. Pepper. Oh, you here for your refill? Yep. All right, buddy. All right, hey, I'm going to go outside and talk to my manager friend. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, Kay, so have a good day. You all too. And I stand right there and I talk to my manager friend. And you're probably saying, well, Kay, why didn't you tell him what was going on? Because, again, look how many videos I got about this. Look how long this video is. This is something you can't explain in 30 seconds. Or in even 5 minutes. No, the Lord didn't tell me to explain it to him. The Lord just told me to stand there until he leaves. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not looking around. I'm not doing anything. Because remember, they've got to approach me. I don't know what they look like. I'm not looking for them. So I'm just talking to my friend. So again, it takes him probably about 10 minutes or so to fill up the cooler. And then he says, hey, well, look, I'm done, man. I got to go into the store. I got paperwork to do. I'll talk to you later, Kay. Sure enough, manager friend. See you later. So he goes in, goes into the store, and there's Kay standing right there. So what do? I look around. I said, Lord, what do I do? He said, what did I tell you to do? And I said to Lord, you said, stand right here until my manager friend goes into the store. And that's what I'm doing. Now what do you want me to do? Leave. I said, okay, I tried. I guess they didn't really want, and I start walking away. Start walking away, and I get to the very edge of the property. Right about here, right by the word orally, is the dumpster. And right here is the street. This is the whole parking lot. Okay, I have step one foot on the grass. I'm walking away. And what happens? Bop, bop, bop. Car horn. Arm out the window. Kerry! That's right. Who is it? Strickland is waving me over to his car. I'm leaving. I'm going home. So what do? Oh man, instantly, if they have a 14-year-old little girl, I'm going to kill these people. My concern is now for this 14-year-old little girl. If they have a 14-year-old little girl in there, God have mercy on them all. So I walk up to the car. Well, first I put my racetrack. I put my Dr. Pepper down. I don't want to waste a good Dr. Pepper. I need both hands, especially if I'm going to do some serious butt whooping. Because if they got a 14-year-old little girl, that's it. It's over and done with. So I walk up to the car. What kind of car? Light green, 1976 Chevy Camaro. Strickland is wearing an ugly Hawaiian shirt. Ugly, just putrid. And Boimer is in the passenger seat, Gang's all here, folks. Gang's all here. Boimer is sitting in the passenger seat wearing God, what color is that? Beige shirt and beige pants. And Strickland says, "There the girl." I go up to the window. It's a 1976 Camaro. Camaro is a very low car. It's got a very tiny little back seat. I know. I had a 1975 Camaro. I like Camaros, and that's not a crime either. So Strickland's sitting in the driver's seat, and Strickland says to me, "Well, there the girls are in the back seat." And I look in, and what do I see? I see two adult women. The back seat is tiny. You can't hide. You can't crouch down. An adult sitting in the back seat of a Camaro, especially a 1976 Camaro, got no leg room. There's no way to crouch down. No way to make yourself look small. And I can plainly see, there's enough daylight left that I can see that it's two women. I said, man, neither one of these girls is 14. And as soon as I see that neither one of them is 14, I'm both relieved as well as pissed. I'm relieved that there's not a 14-year-old little girl, because God help him if there would have been a 14-year-old little girl. I have no idea what I would have done. Seriously. Dead serious. I would have had no idea what I would have done. But I'm also mad. Why? Because these people have brought back every memory of every single time I was put in a lewd or lascivious situation. They brought back to my memory every single time my stepfather stuck his hand down my 8-year-old to 12-year-old pants underneath my underwear and caressed my bare bottom. He brought back every single memory. He brought back the memory of me having to touch as a, 5 to 7-year-old little kid. I was probably between 4 and 6 when that happened, the first time it happened. A 4-year-old to 6-year-old little boy, I was forced to touch an erect penis of a sick, lost teenage boy. And all those memories, they've been harassing me for 2.5 hours. So yeah, I'm a little pissed. So what does Strickland ask me? Strickland says, "So do you want him to get out?" No, I don't want you to get out. How stupid are you people? I've only been telling you for 2.5 hours, no. So you all called me over to this car just to ask me if I wanted something that I've been telling you for 2.5 hours I didn't want? You're idiots. Be gone. No. I do not want to see you. I do not want them to get out the car. So what's Strickland's next move? He pulls out from underneath that god-awful, god-ugly Hawaiian shirt a gold shield. His vice detective shield. And he tells me, "You are under arrest for solicitation of prostitution." And then instantly, from behind me, I hear, "Freeze!" What do I hear? Who's coming at me? That's this dude and Washington running at me, pointing they were either shotguns or like semi-automatic SWAT rifles. Okay? They were probably shotguns. And Washington's running up with his little bulletproof vest on that says Vice. And why do they do that? Because they wanted me to run. What do? As soon as Strickland pulled out that badge, I get even more pissed off. Because it's not a bunch of lost people. If there were lost people that had been calling me for 2.5 hours, I would understand, because they're lost. No. It hasn't been lost people that have brought back every memory of me being sexually molested, or by today's definition, sexually fondled. It has been ministers of God, or should I say, fake, fraudulent, counterfeit ministers of God. Fake, fraudulent bullies. Fake, fraudulent, counterfeit law enforcement officers, otherwise known as bullies, who are posing, impersonating ministers of the Most High God. That's who has been doing all of this to me. Now, a lot of you all would say, oh, I woulda. Just like I didn't say, I'm just quiet. Why? Because now, there is no way in the world that I can, as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, there's no way in the world that I can allow these threats. These are now threats. These are counterfeits. And I'm not about to give them a out. I'm not about to say anything. I'm not about to move an inch. I'm just going to let them dig their grave even deeper. Because again, I know all I have done is call an ad that they have put in the Florida Times-Union. And the only thing I have ever asked for is information. And I know it has been the Jacksonville Vice now that has been offering me a 14-year-old little girl. No, dummy. You all going to prison. I'm not about to give you an out. I'm not about to do anything. And here's the biggest key why, folks. That's what they just set up is called a paradoxical situation, or a catch-22. Remember, they are convinced that everyone that calls this ad had at least $100 to $150 in their pocket. Remember that? Do you all remember what I brought with me? The only thing I brought with me was a 44-ounce plastic cup. So, what do? As soon as they get out of the car, they start frisking me down and patting me down. And then who's doing the patting down? Strickland is. Strickland turns around, said, "Turn around, put your hands on the car." And Boimer starts spewing out venom. Boimer, this imbecile, this idiot, gets out the car and looks at me and says, "Oh, so you like little girls." Told you, that's exactly what they were going to try to do. And man, if looks could kill, I gave Boimer a look that sent shivers down his spine. He knew he would have been dead 10 times over if looks could kill. And again, I do not respond. I just zip there and zip my lip. Folks, the way you defeat a paradoxical situation is you do not respond. Any type of response is admitting that the people, these counterfeits, are real authorities and they have the authority to do what they're doing. No, son, you're going to have to prove this. And guess what you can't prove? this. Because this did not happen. Once again, folks, remember, these control freaks are convinced that every individual that calls up their bogus little escort service has at least $100 to $150 cash money on them to pay their escort for sex. That's what this 12/3 or 12/12/1997 Times Union story says, that Sergeant David Stevens, who heads the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Squad, said. They believe they were only they went the cheap route and said $60 to $80 fee. Why $60 or $80? Well, because it's easier. It's more likely that somebody's going to have $60 cash on them, or $60 to $80 cash money on them, than they are to have $100 to $150 cash money on them. How much cash do you have on you right now? It's a paradoxical situation. There is no such thing as criminal solicitation to prostitution, folks. Okay? Y'all need to stop this. This needs to stop. Because this is destroying people's lives. Alright? But I digress. So, let's go back to all the whole gang. So what's going on now? Strickland has me up against his lime green Camaro, wearing that god-awful ugly Hawaiian shirt. And Boehmer is still the idiot, the imbeciles. He's a glutton for punishment. He's spewing out all this kind of venom at me. I'm not even going to repeat what he said, because it's disgusting what he said. Why are they doing that? Why did they run at me with shotguns? Why did this guy and the brother Washington? Why did they run at me with shotguns? They are trying to rattle you. They were trying to rattle me. But again, I know I have done nothing wrong. I know I have done nothing wrong. All I have done is called an ad in the Florida Times Union and asked for information. Their very own handwriting. Now, what I think is that they do not know that I have contacted the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office about this supposed escort service not once but twice. I know I have called up the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office and reported that this escort service, who I just found out isn't really an escort service, it is the Vice Unit, was pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. Well, now I find out that it was the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Unit that's been pimping out a 14-year-old little girl. There's no way in the world. I know I have done everything right. I know I have reported. I've done what any good citizen would do and report crimes. So go ahead. Run at me. Try to convince me. Threaten me. Bully me all you want. I'm not about to give you an out. I'm not gonna be charged with obstructing an officer in the line of duty. I'm not gonna be. You're not gonna come up with some kind of little tensely minute little thing. Okay? I'm not gonna cuss at you. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm just gonna sit there and be quiet and look at you like you're stupid. Because you're a criminal. And I've reported you. I know I called up the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office about you. So all I got to do is just abide my time. The longer that these people hold me, the worse it's going to be off for them. That's what I'm thinking back then. Now, what time of day is it? What time of day is it? Why, it is 5:45. Remember, folks, they called me at, I made the first phone call to them at 3 o'clock. They had been calling me back for 2.5 hours. That's 5:30. The last conversation, the last conversation I had with them ended about 5:30 or a little bit after. It only takes me 5 minutes to walk down to the store. It takes me 30 seconds to empty out my pockets. I stood outside outside the store talking to my manager buddy for about 10 minutes. And then the Lord said, go home. It didn't take me 30 minutes to walk across a parking lot to the car that they called me over to. And remember, they called me over. So it's 5:45. Light is still up. Still daylight. Okay? Still daylight. It's dusk. Okay? So now they're standing there. I'm up against this car. Strickland does a real quick pat down to see if I got any weapons on me. And Boimer is sitting across the car from me. Boimer is sitting across the car from me, standing across the car, spewing out little vileness. And then frickin' Frack, Ratley, and Etheridge, they get out. They can't keep sitting in the back seat of that car, so they get out, and they're chiming in with their little, oh, you're such a pervert, you're so disgusting. Again, I'm not going to repeat what they said. Some of the most vile, disgusting things you would hear. Same thing with the brother. The brother's chiming in. Man, wait till you get into jail. Boy, these people are going to do all kind of stuff. So is this dude. I don't know. A.R. Quinted? I don't know. Quinintero? I don't know. So they're all chiming in. They're all, oh, look what a great thing we did. And we're doing it all in the parking lot of a high-traffic racetrack gas station on Atlantic Boulevard at the base of the Hart Bridge, where everybody knows me. They're having a grand old time. Then all of a sudden, Strickland cuffs me. And then he starts going through my pockets. Remember, I'm wearing a warm-up uniform. I got a warm-up jacket with pockets, and then I've got 2 pockets in the warm-up pants itself, as well as a back pocket. 1 back pocket. So he puts his hands into my warm-up jacket. Then he puts his hands into 1 pocket at a time. Puts his hand into the right pocket, into the left pocket, and then finally into the left and into the back pocket. And then all of a sudden, the look on Mr. Boimer's face goes from a big old Joker smile grin to a look of, what? What? A look of unbelief. A look of confusion. A look of complete stupidity. Everybody's quiet. Why? What were they expecting me to have? Why, they were expecting me to have at least $60. But they were expecting me to have $100 to pay for sex with a 14-year-old little girl. The only thing they got out of my pockets was lint. That's it. I didn't bring anything with me. I left everything at the house. So then Strickland says, how come you don't have an ID? Now, they're not talking about this situation, so I respond. I said, I left my ID at my house. Where do you live? Yeah, like you don't already know. I live right down the block. Well, you need to take us back there, and you need to take us in your house because we need to make sure that you are who you say you are. They didn't even ask me who I was. So the Lord says, go ahead, take them. I've got nothing to hide. A lot of you all are like, no, I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have told them to, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm letting these people, go ahead. That, my friends, is called an illegal search and seizure. But there's nothing to seize. All they're going to do is get their little feelings hurt. And remember, I'm already handcuffed. Why do they want to get me back to my house? Because, hello, you've got 6 Jacksonville sheriff's officers, 2 Jacksonville vice detectives, this transportation guy, frickin' frack, and then the brother standing around falsely detaining / imprisoning a resident of Jacksonville, Florida, because I've done nothing wrong. The only thing I did was walk up to their car. And they have no way of jamming me up. So why does Strickland want to go to the house? Again, he is convinced I'm a criminal simply because, well, I'm a criminal because I'm not law enforcement. I'm a criminal because I left this one out. I'm not media. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a nurse. I'm not an ambulance driver. I'm a criminal. But mostly of all, I'm a criminal because, well, hello, I actually called the number of an escort business. That's why I'm a criminal. So fine, take me back to my house. I don't care. Sure, let's go. Where do you live? Like they don't already know. Right down the street. You can't get there because that's a one-way street right there. You got to go out here. I even told them how to get to it. So we get back to the house, and I told him, I said, look, you're going to have to take these handcuffs off of me because I've got a 65-pound pit bull up in there, and he is not going to like it if I walk in his house with these strange men and I'm detained. Bad, very bad things will happen to you. And if you do anything to my dog, then very bad things will happen to you. So they take off the handcuffs, and I open up the door, and they tell me, don't go in. I said, I'm not going in. I said, come on out, Charlie. And Charlie was pissed off, man. The hair on his back, from his tail all the way up to his neck, was standing straight up. And he was just looking at me like, Dad, just give me the word, Dad. Just give me the word. I said, nope, go lay down. Go lay down. And he walks halfway, I'll never forget, my buddy, walked halfway down the steps, and he's got his butt sticking up, facing right at me. He looks over his shoulder at me like, you sure, Dad? I can take these punks out. I said, no, just go on. Go lay down. They're going to be here for a while. Leave them alone. Go lay down. That's exactly what he did. He went and laid underneath my lawn trailer because the dog went with me everywhere. So what did they do then? They put the handcuffs back on me. I had to tell Charlie, no, Charlie, stay right there because he didn't like that. I said, stay right there. It's okay. They put me back into the squad car because they can't. They've got no. They cannot have my neighbors come out and ask me what's going on because they know I have done nothing wrong. Then what do? They drive me over to somewhere over on Beach Boulevard and sit in a parking lot. Who drives me? This guy. This guy drives me. And they have me sit there for another 2.5 hours. Now, why do they want to go to my house? Because, again, they're convinced I'm a criminal. Simply because I called the number of the escort business. Well, guess what, folks? Guess what? They are about to get their tiny little irrelevant, insignificant, pointless, meaningless feelings hurt once again. They are convinced I have something in there. I must have left the cash at the house. I must have drugs at the house. I must have something at the house. Well, again, they're going to get their tiny little, irrelevant, insignificant, pointless, meaningless feelings hurt once again. Because I have absolutely zero cash in the house. You heard me. No cash. Didn't need it. Didn't need it. I didn't need cash. I had no reason to even have cash. I may have had some change around. I may have had $5 or $10, something like that. But by no means did I have $60 on me. Just didn't have it. As far as drugs are concerned, I'm a child of the one true living God, a child of the Most High God. The only thing in my house that even resembled drugs was aspirin. Aspirin. Well, I'm sure he's got some dope or something. No, I'm a called minister of the gospel. I'm a preacher. I don't smoke dope. Well, he's got to have some alcohol or something. Nope, I don't drink alcohol. Not even a wine cooler. I don't even have a little glass of wine after dinner. I don't even drink champagne on New Year's for special occasions. I refuse to drink alcohol because I've seen what it did. My stepfather, you know, the one that sexually fondled me as a child. He was an alcoholic. I watched alcohol kill two of my brothers. Kill them. One of them dropped dead. I don't want anything to do with alcohol. Can't stand alcohol. You all can drink it. You want to drink it? Fine. Not me. I can't stand it. It's poison. So, well, you must have some pornography or something in the house. Nope. Not even a Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine. Not even a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition magazine is in my house. What did they see when they walked in that house? They saw a King James Bible. You know, the one I hold up in all my videos? Yep. They saw that Bible sitting on my kitchen table. I think I had a television, a Sega system, and a VCR. I may have had a Commodore 64, an old, ancient Commodore 64 that is only usable for it was just to play games with, big floppy disks on it. So guess what? They can't set me up. Strickland cannot go back to his strengths and try to set me up and try to make it look like that I was having conversations on a computer. Guess why? Guess why? I had no computer, nor did I even have internet access. Because you don't need internet access if you don't have a computer. It's 1997. Hadn't started working on the internet yet. How about that? So they're having a cow. They're having a cow. So what's going on while I'm sitting for 2.5 hours as they go through my house? Looking for things. They're just convinced. They're just convinced. Now they're well beyond the point of no return now. Because they can't shake me. They can't rattle me. They've got to explain why they did all of this. They've got to explain why they did all of this. Because there's no legal lawful reason for doing that. Now they've got to explain why in the world they're holding me. They've got me. They've already kidnapped me. Just so we're clear, as soon as you put handcuffs on somebody and lead them away Unwillingly? No, I didn't go willingly. They didn't ask me, do you want to take a ride in the back of a police car with handcuffs on you? No. No. They just slapped them on. They just, bye, boom, get them out of here. We can't have these people showing up and asking them questions. We've got to control the situation. Oh, what else did they see? Why, the Florida Times-Union newspaper ads. It's Wednesday. I've got 3 of them sitting right there. What else did they see? They see the caller ID. The light on the caller ID is blinking, 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 blinking. And they see all the, I don't know how many times they called me. So guess what? We got to get rid of this evidence. We got to get rid of this evidence. They wiped out the caller ID. Wiped it clean. They wiped off all of the calls. All of them. Not just the ones made that the escort service made. All of them. They took away every single newspaper that I had in there. All of them. Every single one of them. Not just the classified section. Every single newspaper. Because they can't set me up. They've got nothing to hold over my head. Now, because they have nothing to hold over my head, the only thing that they can do is threaten me with what a bad person. We know what you were trying to do. This is what you were trying to do. You thought that you were talking to a 14-year-old little girl. That's what you thought. You thought you were talking to a 14-year-old little girl. I don't say a word to him. So, what's going on in the parking lot? Well, this dude, I'm sitting in the back of the squad car, and again, I don't even say a word. Not a word. Not a word. I'm thirsty. I never get to drink my Dr. Pepper. I know I haven't done anything wrong. So what happens? Just same routine. Every 5 to 10 minutes, another Jacksonville Sheriff's Office squad car would pull up next to him and a conversation just like this. Oh, so I hear you got a pedophile. Yeah, he ain't going to do too good in prison. I ain't going to prison, son. You the one going to prison. I didn't do anything wrong. That's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm just quiet as a... Just come on, take me. Let's go to jail. Take me to jail. I want to get to your superiors is what I want to get to. Because as soon as we get to jail, the roles will be reversed. Or so I thought. So I thought. Every 5 to 10 minutes, a different squad car. Why? Money. It's now documented that the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, for the second day in a row, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office Vice Unit has falsely detained, /imprisoned, kidnapped, and held for ransom a resident of Jacksonville, Florida. Because I'm not saying nothing. They're going to have to explain why they did all of this. So, after, like I said, 2.5 hours, and you say, Kay, how can you prove that? Simple. This document right here. Time arrested. 2015. That's 8:15. Can you do math? I can do math. 3 to 5:30 is 2.5 hours. 15 minutes from 5:30 to 5:45. They said wait 15 minutes. It would take them 15 minutes to get there. I told them it would only take me 5 minutes to walk there. I walked there, and the Lord told me to wait. So I waited for about 10 minutes until my manager friend went in the store. That means it's now 5:45. Then that's when I was walking back out walking back home, That's when they tooted their horn and waved me over, and that's when they all arrested me. And that was the final straw. They should have stopped while they were going. If they would have known, all they had to do. I'm not looking to get anybody in any kind of trouble. All they had to do was let me go. I wasn't going to tell on them. I wasn't. All they had to do was just explain, well, we thought, I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm sorry. But no, you see, the simple fact that they kept doing this says that they were guilty. So again, 5:45. What's 2.5 hours after 5:45? 5:45, 6:45, 7:45 plus 30 minutes is 8:15. There you go. Time arrested, 8:15. So for 5 hours, these people have been harassing me. Oh, and by the way, when I'm sitting over in the parking lot, that's called terrorizing. They're terrorizing me. They're threatening me. They're trying to tell me something when they know. They know I've done nothing wrong. They're a bunch of bullies. So what happens next? Well, then they finally take me down. During that 2.5 hours is when they're writing all this. This is what goes on. They call up and they're like, "Oh God, man, what do we do? What do we do?" And they say, and who tells them what to do? Why, their boss, Sergeant David Stevens. Because as you will see, it's his signature that is the verifying signature on the first time that this happened. The first guy that was falsely detained / imprisoned, Sergeant David Stevens himself, signs, is the supervising officer that gives the okay and the verification for the arrest and booking report. Don't worry, I will show it to you. I have it all. So they call up David Stevens, and now he says, "Look, write something that's plausible, but something you're going to have to play stupid, son. Strickland, you're going to have to play stupid, because if you don't play stupid, you and your whole crew is going to prison. So you know what? Write something that doesn't exist, something that you know is not going to be prosecuted. Okay? Write something that's plausible, but that you know is not an offense." Remember, folks, it's transfer. Transfer is a technique used in propaganda and advertising, also known, and all they're doing is they are invoking an emotional response to discredit me. Now they're invoking an emotional response to save their jobs, and the department does not want to be sued by two different people. So they take me to the jail. They write this piece of work. It takes them 2.5 hours, and probably at least 2 hours, to write this. And again, plausible. Sounds like it's a bad thing. Not a single law was voted. Why? Because again, if this document is never prosecuted, if they do not prosecute it, then it's destroyed. And these people, all of these criminals here, who have harassed me for 2.5 hours, and who have now kidnapped me, falsely detained me, imprisoned me, and kidnapped me, and are now holding me for ransom, they will have to answer to who? This guy, Sergeant David Stevens, who's telling them how to get away with it. So once I get to the jail, it gets even worse. Because they're not done yet. They're not done yet. But we will pick up with that, with me at the jail, in the next video. Now, folks, now do you understand why this says what this says? Now do you understand why this 12/3/1997 false felony arrest and booking report is still hot hiding at the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office with no disposition, and with this court date never met, in the year what? Now? 2018? Yep. I'm pretty sure you understand exactly why